Good morning, everybody. I'm Micheline from Americana Long Arm Quilting. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. We do custom quilting and long arming. You can find a link to our website in the description below. Now, if I can ask a favor of you, please like, share, and subscribe. That really helps our channel grow. If you can take a minute and give me a comment, it is so much fun to read all these comments, and I answer absolutely every single one of them. And I love to know where you're watching from. It's so much fun. All right, now on to the project at hand. We are making a wall hanging today. And if any of you have watched any of my other wall hangings videos, you'll know that I always make two, because I've got two cabinets facing my living room out of my kitchen that need some love, need some decoration. So I always make two. I call them sisters, not twins, because I never try and make them exactly the same. This is what we're making today. We're making something for the 4th of July. We've got a great big star and a bunch of stripes. This is my version of stars and stripes, okay? Myself, my family, we're huge patriots, love our country, love our veterans, and I hope that shows through in what we're going to be doing today and what we're going to be talking about. So I've got all my pieces cut, and there's going to be a downloadable PDF on our website. And again, there's a link to that in the description below. So you'll have a pattern. I did this literally in a couple of hours yesterday, this one. So because it's just the one star block and a bunch of strips, it's not hard to make. It doesn't take a long time. So you can get this done for your 4th of July celebration. This doesn't just have to be a wall hanging. This could also be a table runner. It's a nice long, whoops, can't keep it. There we go. It's nice and long. It could be a wonderful table runner. If you wanted a star on both sides, you could make 2 stars. You could cut these strings portion in half and put half on either side of the star. You could even make an entire quilt out of this by making a number of them and maybe turning some upside down and this way, maybe so they're at different, the stars would be at different heights throughout it. That would be really cool if you had enough strings. I don't know if I've got enough leftover strings, but you know what? I might do something like that with some other jelly rolls that I've got. That would be fun. Okay, now I've got my pieces cut for the stars. For the other star, I have a bunch of strips already sewn together. I've got a box full of pieces to make into more of these, because it just has to be the width of the star. So I've got a few more I need to make, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All right, since we're making half square triangles with the star, that's what we're starting off with, is the star. We're making half square triangles, so we got to draw that diagonal line. All right, diagonal line from corner to corner. Here's a little tip. I got one more to do, so I'm going to show you my little tip. Okay, I'm going to take my pencil and put it where I want that line to be. And then I'm going to put that ruler against my pencil. And then I don't have to worry about that side moving because I've got it pushed against the pencil. And I can concentrate on making that bottom part where I need it to go. And then I'm going to make that line. Okay, so I have done that now. I'm going to sew on both sides of the line. I've got 2 reds with background colors. I've got 2 blues with the background color, and I've got 2 reds and blues together. Okay, so we're going to make all those half square triangles. I'm just going to show you one. Let me show it to you on a little bit darker one here, or a more contrasting one. Hopefully you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Okay, so I've lined it up really nice. I always start out with a leader, and I am going to bring my stitches down to about 2.0. That way, when I'm fiddling with it, it'll stay together. I like sewing on a 2.0. Okay, so I'm going to sew on one side of the line. And this is where I would go to Eleanor Burns's teaching and chain piece all the rest of these. But for showing you purposes, I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread and show you how to do the other side. Okay, so I've sewn down one side. Now I'm going to flip it around and sew down this other side. I love chain piecing. Okay, I'm going to move these guys out of my way so I can show you this other part. Now, you can use a pair of scissors or you can use your rotary cutter. When they're short seams, I tend to use my scissors. When they're a little bit longer seam, I'll go ahead and get the rotary cutter out, okay? So that's what I'm going to do today. Use my rotary cutter. Well, maybe scissors would have worked better. Heaven's sakes. Evidently, I need to get a new rotary cutter. I think I'm used to using that one at a different angle when I'm standing up. And now when I'm sitting, it's not working quite so nicely. Okay, so I kind of mangled the end of that. That's okay. What we're going to do now is set our seam. And then because there's a lot of bulk in one of these 8-pointed stars like this, we're going to open this seam up. Fiddly, 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 right? I'm going to open it up here. Make it behave. There we go. All right. And then when I get this nice and hot and pressed really nice, I'm just going to put one of my clappers on it for a couple of seconds while I fiddle with getting this one open. And that one will benefit from being under my little wooden clapper there, okay? Now, we'll get this one done. And then I'm going to show you how I trim it down, and then it'll be time to get the rest of them done and put the star together. And that's how easy this is. It's not hard at all. It's a really fun, quick project. Okay, there we go. Now we've got one here. It's nicely got a nice 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to put it on my table, and I'm going to kind of go crooked like that. Now I need to trim this down to 5 inches. This is a 5.5 inch ruler, closest thing that I've got to it. It does have a nice diagonal line in it. Can you see that? Trust me, it's got a diagonal line from there to there. I've also got some little grippies on the back. I like cutting them with the wrong side up. I feel like I get a better balance. Now I'm going to take that diagonal line, put it right down my seam line. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the 5 inch mark is within my sewn block all the way around. So I've got a little bit of extra here, a little bit of extra fabric here. I can see I've got a little bit there and a little bit there to trim off. So now I'm going to hopefully get my rotary cutter to work this time and cut off these 2 edges. Okay. And I really do want to try out the block lock and the clearly perfect slotted trimmer. I'm going to buy both of them. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I definitely want to buy them both and give them both a try. And I was going to move that around, but then I realized I needed to reposition my ruler anyway. Okay, now I'm going to take and line the corner up on my 5 inch mark, and I'm going to line up that diagonal line at the same time. So both my edges here and here are lined up to the ruler, to the 5 inch mark on the ruler, and the diagonal line, well, it was on there. There we go. I moved it. Okay, now I'm going to trim these last 2 sides. Okay. So I'm in the group of people that just like to trim their blocks after they're sewn. You might not be. If not, that's okay too. I like trimming them down. That way I know they're perfect. They're going to match my corner blocks perfectly. All right, let me get the rest of these to that point, and then I'll show you how we're going to put it all together. Okay, I got all my half square triangles pieced, pressed open, trimmed down. I've got my whole block laid out. Trust me, there's more pieces up here. There they are. Okay. And now we're going to put it together. Now, normally, or one way you could do this is web it. So you would put these two together, leave them in the machine, then these two together, and then these two together, chain piece all that, take it all out of the machine, then put this row on to its corresponding piece, leaving everything webbed together, and then do this row and leave everything webbed together. Now, I'm not going to do it that way today, because with all of these little seams coming together, that's going to be pretty thick. And I want to be able to have my rows separate from one another, so that I can press them to the even rows one way, the odd rows in the other direction. That way, when I go to sew the rows together, all those intersections will nest. So we're just going to go ahead and start chain piecing some of these, and I will put them back where they belong as I go. Now, while I'm doing this, I thought I would tell you a little story, give you some information, okay? Recently, oh, I should put my glasses on. I can see a lot better with those. Recently, my good friends, Debbie and Jared, came to visit me. They are retired, and they have been traveling the country in a ginormous RV, okay? And they came to visit, and they have these wonderful standard poodles, and they are just amazing people. And they started, oh gosh, about 20 years ago, a nonprofit organization. And where I'm going with this is, a moment ago I told you how patriotic I am. And they started a nonprofit organization for our veterans called American Service Animal Society. Wonderful organization. They help veterans live a more fulfilling life through the use of service animals. They help them get the service animals. They train the veterans and the service animals together. And they provide lifetime support and continued education for the veterans and their dogs. If you want to check out their website, it is, and we'll leave a link to this in the description, but it is Dogs for Vets. The number 4, not the word 4. And again, we'll have that in the description below. I would love it if you would go check them out. Like I said, Debbie and Jared have retired. Jared's son, Sean, and his lovely wife, Diane, are now the ones that run the organization. And they would love your support. Now, here's a fun little something to do. I would like to know in the comments, there's a couple things in the comments I want y'all to do. So one is go in the comments and leave a comment as to whether you know their organization. If you or a veteran that you know and love, if you know their organization, please let me know. That would be a lot of fun. To see if there's some crossover there. Now, the other thing that I would love for my viewers to do is to tell Debbie and Jared how much fun it would be and how wonderful it would be if they started their own YouTube channel and did continued training with their dogs for veterans. I've been trying to talk them into starting their own YouTube channel, and they could continue to help veterans, brush up on their skills. I know that when they were here, Jared was able to help my husband deal with Ranger You know, he's such a giant. And when he gets it in his mind, he's going to do something, he does it. And so Jared's helping my husband to kind of train Ranger just a little bit so that he's a little bit easier to handle. And just a few lessons with Jared, and man, Ranger is doing so much better. So go leave me a comment. Number one, if you or any veterans you know and love may have had any dealings with American Service Animal Society. They are out of Chandler, Arizona. If you or any veteran you love are interested in getting a hold of them, again, the link is in my, or the link will be in the description. And then also tell me, do you think they should start a YouTube video training dogs and showing some very unique skills that dogs that are service animals are trained to do. Okay, back to the task at hand. And y'all, forgive me. I know I am sweating like crazy on this video. I am full on menopausal. God love me. Not fun, but I just wanted to tell you that. I don't know why. I'm oversharing. Okay, here we go. Now we've got all 4 pieces sewn together while I was telling you a story. All right, now I'm going to take and press them. This row this way, this row this way, that way, that way. And then we'll be able to put them all back together. But I'm not going to make you watch me do that. Okay, I've got these pressed. I have recovered from my hot flash. I feel a lot better. Now it's time to put these together. So I'm going to take the top 2 rows and you can see where I've pressed this row up, this row down. So that is going to nest nicely there. Okay, let's get to work. Put my glasses back on. And here we go. Okay. As I come to each one, that's when I make sure it's nice and straight and even. I'm not pulling or pushing on anything, making sure all my seams are laying flat. And here we go. And that's the top 2 sewn together. All right, I'm going to do that to the bottom 2, and then I'll sew it all together, press those seams, and then we'll get onto those strips. All right, so I have a group of strips done, and what you can see that I've done is I've pieced them in all different ways. This one's on the diagonal, this one's straight, this one even has a little patch in between the 2 prints. So I've done all kinds of fun things like that. I've also got some solids dropped in here because I feel that your eye needs a little bit of a place to rest when you get something this busy. If all of these were put together without a break, it would be a little bit much on the eye. See? Looks better with a couple of pieces of solids in there. Now, this needs to be as wide as my star block is. My star finished 18.5 inches wide. And you might think, gosh, I only need another 1 strip and I'll be done. But if you think there's a 1/2 inch going to be taken up in each of these intersections, I've counted them up, that's like 4 inches. So I only have like 13 inches, in all honesty, from here to here once I've sewn all these together. I don't want to sew them together until I get all the strips there, and that way I can play with them and see which way I want to put them. So let's go over to the machine and make about another 4 strips. I've got a box full of strips, okay? And I think that I'd like to use this one next. Now this is cut on the bias because I wanted the stripes to be on the bias. So I'm going to be really careful with this. And I'll be honest, before I sew it into the the finished strip set, I'm probably going to run a line of basting along the sides of this one just to kind of keep it in shape. Okay, let's see what I've got that's about the same size. Oh, that was pieced previously and I just cut it up. All right, that's a little bit on the narrow side. Let me find something fun. That would be fun with it, but I think that I want to put something else in between it. So let's find something that can go between it. Dogs are barking at something. Can't figure that out. More than likely, it's a squirrel. Did you see a squirrel? Was that what it was? It was a squirrel. I love you. It was a squirrel. Okay, get that out of the way. And any way you want to put these strips together is the right way to put them together. That's the fun thing about using strips and you doing a project like this. It's up to you. However you want to do it is the way it is supposed to be done. I'm just going to finger press that a little bit. Now I'm going to set this, and because this is at an angle here, I am going to flip it over and sew it from the other side because I know my little blue piece wasn't at an angle, but I have carefully put those two pieces together so I know that this red and white stripe one is straight. And now I'm going to put it like this, and so 1/4 inch seam allowance there on the blue, and this should be gracious plenty to be the length of one of the strips that I need. And isn't it fun? Okay, so put him to the side. Let's do a couple more. That's cute. Ah, this one can be really patchy. Okay, let's go like this. Are they the same size? Yep, they're the same width. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's another one. And I think that's as long as I need it too. That one's got a lot of different things in it. So that's fun. Okay, so I've got 2 done. Like I said, I need about 4. Let me get a couple more of them made. We'll go and see if that's the right width, and then we're going to start sewing them together after we clean up our seams. See? I need to clean that seam up. And I'll go see what the dogs are barking at. Okay, dogs were probably barking at a squirrel. I couldn't see anything scary. Nobody was here. Don't know what they were barking at. Just keeping me on my toes. All right, so I've finished all my strips that I think I'll need. I actually have, and I don't need to know that I'll use all 13, but I have 13 strips, so that would be pretty cool. 13 stripes, you know. So now it's just a matter of putting them together. I do have a couple of directional fabrics, like this one. Isn't he cute? It's an old-timey pickup truck with some country scenes around it, a little dog playing, lots of 4th of July flags in that one. That's one of my favorites. I've got him in there a couple places. It's the only directional one, so to speak. So yeah, it's just time to start sewing them together. So I've got a few sewn together. And I'm keeping the top fairly straight, except for like in this instance where I knew I wanted a little bit of the one on the bottom I wanted to be able to see a little bit of the color or the fabric that's on the bottom. And I didn't feel like I would be able to if I put that red one straight at the top. So I just hiked him up just a little bit. And I cut all my strips. I cut some at 1.5, some at 2, 2.5, 3. That's about as big as I cut them, was 3-inch strips. I did that on this fun one with the trucks because I wanted to see more of it. So I made my strips just varying widths. And then when I went to put them together, I just found widths that were similar. If one was a little bit bigger, I just trimmed it down to size. Now this is so long a piece that if I try and iron it on my little wool mat, I'll be here forever. So I'm going to sew this entire thing together, and then I'll take it over to my table and press it there. And in the end, that one that I made yesterday ended up being 37. The strips part of it ended up being 37 inches. Okay, so I've sewn that on, and now let's just do a little finger pressing just to keep it out of our way. And it doesn't really matter which way you press it, just whichever way works the best, right? And like I said, right now I'm just doing a little bit of finger pressing so it will be more manageable while I'm sitting here doing this. Okay, I am just going to continue to do this, and when it's all nicely pressed, we'll look at how wide it came out. I need it to be 18.5 inches. All right. Okay, I got my strips or my stripes done for my Stars and Stripes quilt or wall hanging. I'll get it right. Okay, now yesterday when I was working with it, let me get this in frame. I didn't really like just having these raw edges butt up against this. So what I've done is I have put a piece of red fabric just along there, and I think that finishes that up nicely. I think that looks better. Okay, I'm gonna get this done. We're gonna get it put on Eleanor. Okay, Eleanor's hard at work. Let me give her a pause. Okay, this is a pattern called Star Swept. Isn't that pretty? We're doing it in red thread, and I think it's gonna turn out gorgeous. Let's let Eleanor get back to work. All right, well, here they are, my Stars and Stripes. I love the way this turned out. You know, we're such a patriotic family, and we love our country. We love our veterans. And so doing something like this, it just made me feel patriotic all day long. And that was just a whole lot of fun. It didn't take me very long. An afternoon of quilting will get you one of these done. It's a lot of free-form quilting with your strips, and that's always a fun, creative thing to do. So you get a little bit of structure with the star block, and then you get some free-form fun down here in these strips. Lots and lots of fun. Easy quilting. I'd say this is, ouch, beginner friendly. That was my toe she just stepped on. You know, this little girl's 8 months old. She weighs 98 pounds. She's going to be a big girl. Anyway, I just have to make some straps to put on the top so I can hang them in my kitchen. They finished 18.5 inches by 55.5 inches long. So a gracious quilt. I can't wait to see them in my kitchen. I hope everybody here has a wonderful 4th of July. I know we're going to. And please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay quilting. Bye.